Hey, everybody. I'm standing outside of the State Department during rush hour, hot day. I wanted to come here after Friday. That was a really tough day for the State Department when 1,400 people were told they're no longer able to work at the State Department. That future is gone. Um, Source sent me the entire list of names of all of the people who had been riffed reduced in force. This is a term that we are hearing constantly right now in the city. Uh, Man, it's just all over the place. But I thought I'd come here and tell you a little bit about them. So I have to tell you that the entire Counting Violent Extremism office gone, completely gone. Uh, Foreign service officers of 30 years, people who worked in energy diplomacy, also on that list. And then some Iran experts, too. I'm looking down at my notes because I want to read you some stuff. There is this guy, Nate Swanson. He had worked on Iran for a while, came in during the Clinton Secretary of State years. He was riffed and his removal actually was recommended by right wing conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer. Um, if you can remember, several weeks ago, I did a report on the NSA director being fired. That was based on Laura Loomer's recommendation. Members of the National Security Council were also asked to go, reportedly because of her recommendation. Well, this is what she said about him. Quote, Swanson's deep ties to Democrat politics, his wife's outspoken liberal advocacy, and his continued presence on the Iran negotiation team raised serious concerns about his alignment with the American first agenda of President Trump's administration. So, at a time when the United States sees Iran weakened, but also wanting to retaliate, uh, we've lost some experts. Now, you can say that maybe this man was more aligned with Democrats, but having worked at the State Department myself, I can tell you that uh, you really want to do the job. You want to do the job, and it's really not about partisanship once you step in the door. At least not from my own experience. There was someone else who I wanted to highlight, who a person inside had told me about. His name is Charles Mahabi, and I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he wrote this message on LinkedIn. Now, he wasn't part of the group that was terminated, but he chose to leave of his own volition. This is the kind of person that's left. Quote, for 21 years, working nuclear nonproliferation and disarmament was a dream come true and a lifelong calling. My grandmother had worked on the Manhattan Project, a secretary to General Groves in an office 2 floors above my own at what would become Main State behind me. As a 9-year-old, after watching The Day After on ABC, I wrote a letter to President Reagan asking what he was doing to prevent the nuclear holocaust we had all just watched dramatized on the miniseries that week. The White House sent me a letter saying, thank you for your interest in national security. And they gave me a book about the White House. Decades later, after the attacks on 9/11, I went on to graduate school and landed my dream job of working nuclear arms control and nonproliferation with the U.S. Department of State. He was the acting principal deputy assistant secretary for international security and nonproliferation for the State Department. A lot of brain power, a lot of people who deeply, deeply were dedicated to their work, who no longer get to do this job, who are no longer here thinking and trying to protect the country, to be determined on what happens next with them. And when I got this list, I mean, 1,400 names, you're just scrolling. It brought back this memory for me. And I know that this is not a fair comparison in any way, but brought back this memory for me when I lived in Berlin for about 10 months before I came to DC. And I was in a museum remembering the Holocaust. Might have been, I can't remember which museum it was, could have been their Holocaust museum. But in any case, there was a list of names And what it said by the list was that even the person who had been working on the list of people who had been deported, this person who was typing the list also ended up being deported. And I realized that I can't compare being reduced in force to being in a concentration camp. It is absolutely not the same thing. That's clear. It still brought back this memory, and it made me realize that these people's lives are forever changed. And we have yet to see what this means moving forward for keeping the country safe, setting policy. So, yeah, I just wanted to come here for a few minutes and show you a little bit of the building, knowing that people packed up, they brought their boxes, they cried, they stood in the Hall of Flags. There was a clap out, meaning people were celebrating them for their service. And then they walked out of those doors. And everywhere I go in the city right now, people are talking about this and the other changes in the government. Just wanted to take you in, give you a little taste of what it's like here today.